tell that dang lie, dude.
Yeah.
Bro, but the power of that kind of stuff, of being under that medicine, and the things you hear and learn, and the moments you have, it shows you a connection in the universe that's almost... It's unbelievable. I mean, just that the universe knows what's going on too much. Dude, even to go back to cicadas. So cicadas, right? They get born. The parents meet. The sound you hear is the males, right? The whatever the like, and puts them in a tree. Makes a little slit in trees. Puts them in there. Then after a certain number of weeks, they fall out of the tree into the ground. They turn into nymph, I think it's called, or lymphs. You find that for me? Turn into nymphs. They fall to the ground and go into the soil, and they stay in the soil for 13 or 17 years. And then, after that amount of years, when spring comes and it hits 64 degrees, they bloom.
So that's why all your buddies that eat a lot of dirt when they're little, bro, they could be eating this cicadas, and they're just making a village in there somewhere where you don't even know what's going on.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think you definitely want to get their, I would probably get their BMs tested, to be honest. I would test their bowels. But just unbelievable. Just to think the things that, like, that's what I learned from ayahuasca was, wow, there's some connection going on that is beyond.
I think it's because we're so void of it. Same thing as the 72 degrees thing. Like, we're made to be interacting with the earth. We're made to be digging up stuff out of the dirt and pulling things out of the ground and getting scratched up and being out in the wild. And because we're so void of that, we lose our connection to nature and those things. Like, I resonate a lot with, like, Native American theology around, like the nature being what they called God or whatever. Like, that's where I find church for me, is out in the wild.
Yeah.
Because seeing the sunrises and sunsets in a hard rain or a storm or in the ocean, like, those things for me, and we're so void of nature, everything around. I mean, it's like we have things that look like nature, but it's really not. But we're not interacting with the earth, and we're not having to adapt to the environment and figure out things. And because of that void, then we're left without that connection, right? We don't have a connection. But I believe the Native Americans had that connection because that's where they were living, and that's where they got their food. I have some friends that are native that do sweat lodges. This guy Tom Blue Wolf's incredible. If you ever done a sweat lodge, dude, you should go to Georgia, do a sweat lodge.
Really?
Man, it's unbelievable.
You've done it before?
Unbelievable. I've done it several times. Yes, he is amazing. But the way he sees the world and talks about it and whatever, he's like, if you're living a good life, then the food shows up. Deer will show up. Things will happen where life provides for you if you're living a good life. Wow, that's him. But that's his sweat lodge right there. That's in Talking Rock, Georgia. That's not far from where I grew up. But it's not like there's no hallucinogenics or anything like that. But you're just going in this hut and sitting on the floor, and they're bringing in these rocks that they heat up. They only use them one time, and they bring them in, like, they have a huge fire out front, and a guy's tending the fire. They have a fire keeper, and these huge river rocks, they heat them up, and these things are like glowing orange, right? And before you go in, you sit and you make your intentions, and they give you little pouches, little things of tobacco and little pieces of fabric, and you put your intentions in there, because the natives believe that tobacco is where your memories are whole. Like, the Great Spirit remembers whatever was put into tobacco. So, like, if someone dies, they take tobacco and they float it out into the river in remembrance of that person or whatever. But that was the plant for them that they smoked as a ceremonial thing for memories. So you put your intentions in there. Put your intentions in, and you take your intentions into the thing with you, and you sit there. You're like on a cold, sandy, ground, and they bring them. They call the rocks grandfathers. So they take a shovel and they lift this thing out, and it's dark in there, and they bring it in and set it in, and he takes Palo Santo and, like, sprinkles it on there, and it looks like a constellation, like, almost inside there, and the smell of it. And then he has sweetgrass. He brushes it with that and smells it, and so you say, "Welcome, grandfather," when they bring the stone in. It's like your ancestors basically coming in. And so they get a pile of grandfathers, and then he closes the thing, and he's got a drum, and he starts chanting, and then he'll take water and pour it on there. It's just like being in a sauna.
Yeah.
So you're in there, and it gets hot. And
I
then,
love those.
and then he opens it again, and then he brings in more grandfathers. So by the end, by like round 4 or 5, bro, there's a lot of grandfathers in there, dude. And it's like it's so hot that some people have to like lay down close to the ground.
It's like a VFW, yeah. You're like, whoa.
But if you sit there and through the ceremony, as it gets hotter and hotter and hotter, you'll start seeing things. You'll start seeing visions and seeing shapes and seeing things like that. And you purge, you're just sweating, man, sweating everything out. But he's leading you. You know, that was this thing I would say about plant medicine. Like, if you have somebody that's intentionally guiding you, taking you on the journey, and they know what they're doing, you're going to have an amazing